from collaboration to co-creation. The future of work's not going to be built by AI alone. It's going to be built by humans that are bold enough to redesign around the work that matters. Up until recently, AI implementation has been a lot about the tool rollout or a technology project in companies, but the research as well as the failed implementations that we've all heard about have shown that it's more than that. It's actually a need for a redesign of how intelligence, judgment, creativity, and value actually move through the organization. And so that's why leaders have to move beyond collaboration to co-creation, because collaboration says, let's work together, but co-creation says, let's think together, let's decide together, let's learn together, let's create value together. That's a much bigger shift. And it's exactly why so many AI efforts either gain traction or are starting to quietly fail. So what is the shift? I just described the two things, but when I say collaboration, most people think teamwork, shared tasks, better communication. That matters, of course, that's not going to go away, but co-creation goes further than that. Co-creation is not just about people helping with the work, it's about people helping shape the work. And it's about the shaping of judgments, priorities, and creating solutions together. So that matters even more with AI, because if AI is designed and deployed by a few people at the top or a small technical group off on the side, you don't get co-creation, you get resistance. And you may get a rollout, but you won't get real adoption, real trust, or even real value. And so many companies are seeing that already. So the real question is, how does a company make this shift? And this is where the human score becomes so valuable. It helps leaders see where the conditions for co-creation is actually in place and where it is not. So over the next few slides, I'm going to just show you 4 places where human scores makes that visible. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep this high level, but if you'd like a full demo of the human score dashboard, I'd be happy to connect after. So let's look at the first one. Human score, if you're new here or haven't heard, measures 5 dimensions, and each dimension has 8 subscales. So organizational structure is the first place that you would show up for a corporation to see whether or not they have the capacity for co-creation. So this is where human score helps leaders see whether ideas can actually move across the organization, not just inside one team, not just in the C-suite, but across the entire system. It examines things like, can people exchange ideas freely? Can information move between groups and different levels? Is there space for experimentation? Are digital tools helping connection or just adding more friction? Because if your structure blocks the exchange, AI is not going to fix it. It's just going to make it worse. And if your team's already siloed, already guarded, already stuck in rigid handoffs, AI can only amplify those problems instead of solving them. So the question is not only do we have the tool, the real question we should be asking is, do we have the structure that allows the intelligence to move? And that's what, did someone have a question? Okay, I'm going to keep going then. So the next dimension that would show up insights into whether an organization is going to be capable of co-creation is our decision-making dimension. And that is critical because it's not just about completing tasks, it's about helping shape judgments, priority, and direction. So human score examines things like, do decisions include diverse perspectives? Is knowledge shared openly? Can the organization adapt when new information comes in? Can people express a different point of view without fear? Because if all the important judgments stay centralized, if decision-making is unclear, inconsistent, or is full of unwritten rules, AI will stall altogether because it can't follow where things were never made explicit. So these are important considerations for organizations before implementing AI tools. The leaders have to ask not just what can AI do, but who decides, who reviews, who escalates, and where does human judgment still sit? And that's a leadership design question, not a software question. The next dimension that unpacks if co-creation is inhibited or going to work in your organization is oh, I think I skipped one. Hold on, back up. Culture. Because even if the structure looks good on paper, co-creation will still fail if the culture doesn't support it. And so human score in the culture dimension looks at things like, do people share openly? Do healthy behaviors spread? Do local teams have room to shape how culture is lived? Do people feel safe enough to contribute honestly? This matters because co-creation requires more than compliance. It requires trust. And in AI implementation, trust matters more than speed. So if employees experience AI as a way of hidden control, of monitoring, of top-down standardization, they're going to pull back. They're going to protect themselves. They're going to say less. They're going to risk less, and they're going to resist more. And so the organization loses the very human intelligence it needs the most. So culture here is not soft. It's actually operating infrastructure. And it's got to be a priority in AI implementation. And the final dimension is work design. And this is my favorite because it's kind of my passion. But the fourth is work design. So this is where AI becomes a tool for empowerment, not just a tool for control. Human score examines things like, does the work still feel connected to a purpose? Do the people have autonomy? Is trust increasing or eroding? Are managers helping people grow or just driving compliance? Do employees feel more empowered or more replaceable? Because AI can absolutely create value, but it can also strip the work of meaning. And research already shows it's sorely lacking in meaning to begin with, even before AI. So if people experience AI surveillance, over control, or a loss of agency all the way to job loss, trust drops quickly. If it's experienced as support, clarity, and empowerment, then engagement rises. And that's why Human Score treats autonomy, trust, empowerment, support as core conditions, not just for identifying healthy work, but also for successful AI implementation. So here's why we think Human Score is your AI pre-op, because this is how it works. When you get your Human Score dashboard, you're able to review those dimensions as well as a fifth one we'll mention at the end. But the dashboard will show you where the system is already broken before you layer AI on top. So if work design is a low score, then you know that you have to really work on work design. And so you can pick in the review of your dashboard the first time where you need to work. And that's where you can start to prioritize where the pain really is for the employees. So it gives a starting place to the broken systems, helps it understand where the organization actually is. And then through the dashboard, the leaders can review where is trust weak, where is decision making unclear, where is structure blocking the flow, and where is work design creating friction. That matters because obviously AI is likely to be embraced when it solves problems that are connected to real employee lived experience, not just leadership's assumptions. But then the dashboard, the leaders and the employees can begin to prioritize, where do we need to start to relieve pain that is real and to clear up things before we start to add AI into the system. The third step is the experiment part, and that's where leaders and employees begin to experiment together, ideally co-creating solutions with the people that are closest to the work. And after the change is initiated and it's been completed, then leaders can review their dashboards again to see how their organization improved, giving them clear insights on what needs to be adjusted based on the feedback and the results and what the dashboard shows over time. And then they can continue to repeat that as they continue to roll out AI in a more manageable and adaptable set of circumstances. So that's the use of the dashboard and how organizations can really use it as what I call the AI pre-op, pre and post-op for that matter. So here's 5 important reflections that leadership should consider before they act. And if they've already acted and things are not going as planned, this may be a time to pause and uh, readjust. So first is redistributed intelligence. And that's not just participation. If AI remains concentrated in a few experts, you get dependency and not co-creation. So it needs to be something that it is redistributed throughout the organization. The second is redesign decision rights. You've got to be clear about who decides, who reviews, who escalates, and where human judgment belongs. Those things should be known ahead of time and be clear. And, from the research, those things aren't clear. And that's why so many organizations are running into issues. The third one is trust matters more than speed. So if people have no room to test, learn, challenge, or improve, co-creation's never going to get off the ground. And lastly is how do we blend AI with human knowledge? The organizations that will win will not be the ones with the most tools. They will be the ones that combine machine capability with humans optimized for critical thinking, connection, and creativity. And I guess the final point I would share here is that the fifth dimension of the human score is fairness. And that is the foundation under all of this. Because if AI is implemented without fairness, voice, inclusion, co-creation becomes a story leadership tells, but there's no reality lived experience behind it. So this is the invitation. At Human Score, we show leaders where co-creation is needed. And our Workplace Renaissance workshop tells them how they can learn to co-create effectively. And we're excited to say the Workplace Renaissance workshop is being offered now to all SHRM professionals. So if you need PDCs, and you're a SHRM certified professional, you can come to our first one on Tuesday, the 14th of April at 11. It's a 3-hour workshop. You get 3 PDCs for it. And it's also been accepted for AI Week, which that one will take place once only next Wednesday, the 15th, from noon to 3. So if this conversation resonates with you and you want a practical path for a more human-centered AI implementation, I'm inviting you to join us next week for the Workplace Renaissance. And I can share those links with you afterwards. If you have questions, Human Score, my email, please do follow us on LinkedIn.